our special Part 2 Friday edition of Fan Fatales. If you haven't seen Part 1, I highly recommend listening to that and then coming back here after. There's a brief introduction to D&D in Part 1, as well as some resources mentioned, but those resources will be linked in this episode as well. My guest today is one of my best friends. Campbell and I have been friends for almost 6 years now. We went to high school together, and I honestly didn't know she played D&D until quite recently. Now, Campbell is one of the strongest people I know. She is a feminist, and I love her so much. I have been dying to get her opinion on a lot of issues with D&D when it comes to the sexualization of women, and especially the treatment of women in certain groups, and we do go into that a little bit. But if you listened on the first episode, Jason and I touched on it just a smidge. Now, I could go on and on forever about how much I love Campbell, because she's fantastic and amazing and beautiful and wonderful, and so is her twin sister, all of those amazing, fantastic things. Katie, I love you too. But we should get into this conversation. So, for your enjoyment, Campbell. Hi, Campbell.
Hello.
Hi, it's so good to see you. Thanks for being here with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, we haven't seen each other in like so long.
I know, it's been so long.
I know, I miss you, dude.
I know, virtual hugs.
I know, virtual hugs. I know your birthday was not too long ago, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A full 20-year-old now.
I know. You're like a real adult. You're not like a half adult, like an adult. So, anyway. So, let's just talk a little bit about some basic info, like when did you start playing D&D and what really made you want to start?
Yeah, I first heard about it through a friend, because she's also a huge nerd, and so she was talking about it, and I was like, that sounds really fun, and this was way back in middle school, so we decided, her dad had also played it, so he decided he would DM for us, and it went about as well as, like, 7 middle schoolers who, like, were really just there to, like, fuck around, and just, like, I barely, like, remember that game. I know I played, like, the, like, set, character sheet of, like, a halfling rogue, but that's literally, like, all I remember from that game, 'cause it was 7 middle schoolers who didn't know what they were doing.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm pretty new to D&D, actually. I've, like, known about it for a really long time, but I haven't really, like, gotten around to playing it, until, like, sort of recently, so now I'm in another campaign with a few friends, and you know the DM, David.
Another friend of ours from high school.
Yeah, so we just do it over, like, Discord, and, there's a few other people who, like, haven't played before, because I'm sort of counting it as my first actual D&D game. So yeah, I'm pretty new, and yeah, that's how I got started.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty new too. This is like my first official campaign. I mean, my uncle taught me back in like sophomore year, like our second year of high school, because I was in a play that was like about Dungeons and Dragons, if you remember.
I saw that. I was there.
Yeah. And I was like, I need to understand this. I have no idea what this is. So he explained it to me and he taught me. And ever since then, I've been fascinated with it and I wanted to play. But it wasn't until this year, or not this year, like we've started playing like last fall. I joined the group that I'm playing with. Yeah. And this is like, my first like official campaign, like long term. We're kind of at like a stop right now because we haven't had time to get together recently because all our schedules have been crazy, but hopefully with the summer we'll be able to do it a little more often.
Yeah, I think I like learned how to play through watching like D&D shows like Critical Role, because I got way too into all of those.
Yeah, I did too. Have you heard of the One Shot Podcast Network?
I haven't.
Okay, they have a lot of stuff. They do a bunch of one-shots, but they also have a show called Campaign. And the one that I'm listening to right now, I'm like halfway through it, it's a Star Wars campaign, so it's it's an Edge of Empires campaign. So, it's basically they play Edge of Empires and it's really fun. They get into all these like Star Warsy shenanigans, and I'm a Star Wars fan, so I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I actually didn't know you were a Star Wars fan, and I don't know how I didn't know
really?
this. Like, I didn't know you were as big of a Star Wars fan, because, like, I don't know, I've always loved Star Wars. I was that kid that would, like, go around. I was, like, the one out of, like, the two girls that would play Star Wars on the playground.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't a Star Wars fan until recently, so that wasn't, like, that was, like, more of a, like, this year kind of thing. Well, last year and this year kind of thing, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
I thought we talked about it, though.
Maybe.
Maybe not. I don't know. So, what's your party like? What's the makeup of your party? Like, what do you guys got going on your end?
Yeah, well, like, in real life, like I said, like, half of us don't really know how to play, and then there's, like, 2 who played before.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we're an interesting party, because I play a tiefling warlock with a fiend patron, and then we have Asimar?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say it.
I don't either.
It's one of those words. And she's a sorcerer, but, you know, she's very godly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting, like, dynamic right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a changeling rogue and a fighter who's, like, a samurai.
That's kind of cool.
And then we have, like, a druid elf.
Mm-hmm.
And the newest addition to our party, I don't really know anything about. I think he's a blood hunter, and he blows stuff up, and that's about all I've gotten so far, because, like, we, like, in real life have only played, like, actual, like, 2 sessions, although I think he's been in the campaign for, like, 4 sessions now, so, yeah.
Got it. That's super cool. Yeah, ours is a little different, because I play with all guys. I'm the only girl in a whole group of guys. So it's me. I'm she's an elf. She's a bardic elf, and she's she's bardic elf in the lore school, I think.
Okay.
I think that's what they're called. I can't remember what they're called right now.
That sounds right.
And then we have I don't even know what they're called. He's like a war machine, but he's not a war machine, because those are vehicles. He's like he's like a robot.
Gosh, I know what you're talking about.
He's like a transformer, basically.
Yeah, we have one. It's like a merchant, and his name is Tree, and I love him very much. He's an NPC.
Yes.
Oh, what are they called? They're like Warforged.
Yes, Warforged. Thank you. Yes.
He's in my brain somewhere.
Yeah, he's a Warforged, and I drew all of our characters for like, you know, for fun.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. And basically his reference image was Optimus Prime. So I was like, oh, okay, so you're Optimus Prime. And he was like, basically, but like with wood. And I was like, what?
That's great.
So he's like an Optimus Prime, but his hands and feet are wood. So
yeah, we actually have we have 3 girls and then 4 guys, but one of the guys plays a female.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
that's always fun.
Yeah. At the beginning of the campaign, we started with like 3 people, and it was just me, and then like one other girl, and then a guy, and then our whole party was like girls at that point. But now we've added on.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, our party is the same size as when we started. We added on one, and then he was like, "Just kidding, I can't do this, guys. It's too much of a commitment. I have too many campaigns. Sorry." It's actually our friend Jason who is in the first episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We haven't met yet. We're meeting tomorrow. So I'm doing this a little backwards, but he started off with us, like he was in the first one we ever did, the first session we did, and then he was like, "Sorry guys, I can't," and we were like, "Okay." So yeah, it's me. I'm an elf bard, and then we got our Warforged. He's a monk, I think, which is such a weird combination.
Monks are so cool. Yeah, that is an interesting
combo. And then we have a gnome. He's a rock gnome. But I don't know if he's like a wizard or a warlock or what. He doesn't actually say what he is. Does
he do Eldritch Blast?
Yes, he does all the time.
And he's probably a warlock.
There you go.
Take it from someone who knows.
There you go. And then we also have a what is he? He's a barbarian, and oh my gosh, I totally just like his race just like out of my head what they're called.
Yeah.
That happens to me all the time.
It's weird because you don't really like talk about it,
no.
And then you're like, wait, what is it?
Yeah, it's a our gnome. He's actually a wizard. I'm looking at it right now. So our gnome is a wizard.
That's so interesting. So maybe, I guess wizards could have that cantrip.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know anything about D&D.
So I guess he must be a half orc or an orc.
Okay.
He's big and dumb. Like his intelligence score is 4. Like, not even kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. Mine is like 19.
Wow. Yeah, I think I like didn't want to play a smart character because that's like too much pressure. You know,
My character,
because like then everyone's like, you're the smart one, you gotta like do the smart things, and I'm just like, no, I have no thoughts, no, head empty. So I gave her like average intelligence, but
yeah. We have a second campaign going, and in that one I play a changeling barbarian, and
ooh,
yeah, her intelligence is like mid-level. She's not dumb, but she's not smart either.
yeah,
You know? Okay. Poof, now that now that I figured that one out. Let's see. Do you think that the commonization of D&D has made it a little bit easier for like women and girls to start playing?
yeah, I definitely think it has helped, especially like just being able to like have access to like, you know, learning the rules. Is helpful for like anyone really, but it's also helpful to like make sure you're like creating like a safe space for yourself. Like I feel like that's really important because like I don't know, I always feel weird like going into like a group of like guys who I don't really know and they're like nerds, and I feel like it's such a stereotype to be like, oh, they're all gonna fall in love with you, but you know.
Yeah.
Like yeah, because you just don't know. Like, you want to make sure that the group you're, like, going to be playing with. Also, because D&D is just, you can be very vulnerable in it, like, if you're heavy into roleplay. So, like, you want to make sure you're, like, in a group that you feel safe with. And I think it's definitely, like, commonization of D&D has helped. Because then people feel, like, more capable to, like, start their own group instead of, like, seeking one out.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, because, like, before there were groups like Adventures League and, I mean, before the world shut down. I don't know if Adventures League is doing anything right now. But there were a lot of groups who you would, like, if you were brand new and you had no friends who wanted to play D&D, you'd be able to go and find a group to play with.
Yeah.
But the only downside to that is, like, then there's this weird kind of period where you're trying to get to know each other as players and just as people. And so then you're kind of just like, I don't know what if this is okay. Like, should I not do this or say this, you know? Whereas when you just, like, jump into playing with your friends, you already know how they are and you already know how their mannerisms are. So you're just kind of like, you know, F it. I'm just going to do whatever I want, do my thing. And your friends are just, like, there with you because they understand who you are, right? And they get that. So yeah, I think it'd be really fun to start a game with some of our friends.
We should. We really do need to play together.
We do. I think it'd be totally chaotic, and I'm here for it.
Yes. Chaos.
And I feel like Melanie would be the one who's just like, guys, we shouldn't. And we're all like, burn things! And she's like, no. And we're like
murder hobos. And she's like, no.
Please no. Okay. Do you think that, like, Stranger Things kind of had a part in bringing D&D back recently?
Yeah, I feel like it made it, I don't know, I feel like D&D has become a lot more, like, cool now. Like, you're not just, like, automatically labeled as, like, a nerd, because people, like, sort of know what it is now a lot more than they did. And I think, yeah, Stranger Things totally, like, made it more of, like, a mainstream, like, kind of, like, a throwback, I guess, if like you were older and like maybe never played it because of like the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Stranger Things totally like helped it sort of grow. Also, like, you know, maybe you wanted to like know what the Demogorgon was, like what the heck are they talking about? Yeah. So maybe you started playing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I also think maybe a lot of the networks like Critical Role and One Shot, like, who they have a lot of ladies playing. They just have a lot of people playing in general, and like they are so popular now, and like, yeah, like you could find their merch almost anywhere, like.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I think that's also pretty cool.
Sorry,
no, you're good.
I cut you off. Yeah, I think like watching like those people like definitely made me think like, oh, that's so cool, like I want to do that as well. And just like watching other people like with their friends play, like looking like they're having a fun time, and you're like, I want that. So
yeah, I definitely have that. I haven't watched as much Critical Role as I should have, but I've seen a few episodes and I like it. I think it's pretty cool.
you gotta watch it. Yeah, they just finished the second campaign, so I'm still like processing and mourning the loss of campaign 2, but it's fine. I'm ready for campaign 3. I'm excited. Yeah, it's really good, but it is a time commitment.
It is definitely a time commitment. Aren't there episodes like 2 hours long?
That's like a short episode. Like this past one was short 7 hours.
7 hours?
But that's like long. They were like, it's long, guys, because it was the finale, so like they had a lot to get in. But yeah, a few of them go like 4 hours, and then like it's usually around 2 though. You're right.
I could never, but I would never have that patience.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier when you're watching it live, I think, because then I don't know. Yeah, the only reason I caught up was because of quarantine, and they took like a long break, so I was like, now's my chance.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
Sit there and knit or crochet or do my nails or
yeah, do my nails all the time. Yeah, while watching.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to stuff that's a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Like spicy. I think the word I'm looking for is spicy.
Spicy.
Yeah. That's my new favorite word for things, because I don't want to use words like problematic, because those kinds of words are overused.
I like spicy.
Yeah, spicy is nice. I like it. It's like, ooh, it's uncomfortable, but it's okay, you know? So, what do you think about, like, the sexualization that female NPCs and, like, female characters and enemies often have in, like, you know, in, like, the D&D source materials where they have, like, books and images and that kind of stuff? Like, I feel like a lot of the time women are depicted as, you know, a typical, like, what you would see in, you know, video games, like, you know, huge boobs in, like, a bra and, like, in underwear.
Yeah, and you're just like, how do they fight in that?
Yeah, you're like, how do you not instantly die?
Yeah, I think it's, like, a weird, like, leftover from, like, since D&D's, like, has such a long history, and, like, it was conceived in, like, I don't know,
the 80s.
I feel like, yeah, the 80s, I guess.
Like, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, and, like, so, you know, that was a little more, like, accepted, I suppose. And so now, like, it's sort of, like, I feel like it's definitely gotten better. I was just watching, like, an interview with Chris Perkins, who's, like, one of the top people at Wizards of the Coast that, like, write the D&D books. And he was talking about, like, you know, how he's, like, tried to, like, you know, sort of make that a little better, and, like, when he's, like, writing, he'll have people, like, look at his work, and, like, if they're like, oh, like, you only have, like, females that are evil or, like, temptress or kind of caricatures, then he'll, like, you know, take that criticism and, like, make it better. So I think that's, like, changing, especially now. Like, I feel like the people who are making those types of things, like, realize how much more diverse D&D is now, because I feel like before it was thought to be like a, like, white man straight white man's kind of game, but now it's like, I don't know, everything that I've seen through D&D, it always seems like there's a lot of, like, more diverse people. Like, I feel like a lot of queer people play D&D.
I get that vibe too.
Yeah,
like, I feel like there is a lot. It is, like, a big thing in the queer community to play D&D.
Yeah, I feel like it makes sense because, like, a lot of the, like, playing with your friends and, like, the party sort of becomes, like, a found family thing. And then also just, like, you know, I feel like underrepresented people want to, like, give themselves their representation and, like, escape reality more than, like, A white man might. But yeah, I think it's definitely a problem still. Like I said, like if you're trying to like start playing as a woman or a female of any kind, and like you go into a group and that sort of thing happens, then you might be like turned off from playing D&D. And like I've definitely seen like horror stories of that kind of thing, and it's just like, ugh, like why?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm looking at my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think D&D is like I was talking about before, it's just like finding the right group, and making sure that like that's a safe space for you to be in, and like making sure that your DM and the other players know like, hey, that's not cool.
Yeah.
We don't do that here.
Yeah. I think that's like a really good point, that it is really about the people that you're playing with, that you have to make sure that that's kind of like one of the most critical things when it comes to the game. Like you can totally understand the gameplay, and you could totally understand all of the rules of roleplay and like all of that stuff, even though there's very few rules of roleplay, if any.
Yeah, I think like people who don't want to play D&D or like haven't had fun with it in the past, like just haven't found the right group, which sounds, I mean, like if you're not into like actual like board games and stuff, but I feel like if you find like friends that you really enjoy playing with, everyone can have fun at D&D. So yeah, I think it's definitely a lot about that.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I know your party has a lot of women in it, and I'm just curious, do y'all ever use this like over sexualization to your advantage? Like, because my character personally, I've used it like once and it worked out very nicely.
Yeah, I feel like just like the characters that we play like wouldn't really do that, because like one is like a holy sort of woman.
Okay, so she's like basically a nun.
Sort of, but she kind of like, I don't know, she's very like shy, and like
okay.
Also we have like a joke in our party that she's like gonna hook up with this other character, and that's like we call him Darius because his name is Darius. Our DM hates it, but
we call him
he's great.
Darius. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, his name is Darius, so somehow that, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, and then like the other one, she like has a partner already, but they're like missing, and the party doesn't really know that, but like the players know that because she's mentioned it. And then my character, I mean, I'm ace, so I kind of just play her ace because I feel like, I don't know, me personally, like flirting, you know this, flirting goes over my head.
Yeah.
So like if I wanted to like play into that, I would have to actually like work kind of hard to like figure out how to do that. Yeah, I've got no game, so I can't really RP that well.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then I don't know, we just don't really like, the characters don't really like do that sort of thing, but like I feel like it would be really fun to like play a character that would like have that sort of like Black Widow sort of vibe. Yeah. But again, I don't think I personally would be good at it.
That's fair.
So it would be like a challenge for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it would be fun. And also like we did start out not really knowing each other. We all know the DM, but still like sometimes that's weird to like start doing when you don't know each other.
Yeah, for sure. I totally get that. It's definitely something that I had to like work up to in our campaign, because my character, she started out like very shy and very to herself, and like as the campaign has gone on and as she's gotten more comfortable with the other adventurers in our party, she's kind of opened up a lot more. And you know, there was this one time we were fighting in like a swamp. We got like swallowed into this like underwater swamp, and we were fighting these like frog people things.
Frog people things?
Yeah.
Wow.
these like frog people. I don't even know what they were. Maybe they were just giant frogs. I don't even know. But she was like, yes, this is the time. And she was like, and they were like all, you know, wet and all like, it was kind of like an Ariel moment in my head. But like, I don't know, what's like the equivalent of like Ariel, but like not for children?
Like, I don't know, I feel like there's always that scene of like a woman. I feel like it's like a James Bond movie where she like gets out of the ocean and she's like in bikini.
Yeah, that.
I don't know which one it is.
That vibe, yes. Yeah. There was this other time we were in this cavern and there was like, it was like water and then there was like a thing in the middle and like she was like, oh, I'm gonna go for a swim, and it was that scene where it's like they like pull off the shirt in slow motion and like the wind starts blowing and she like takes her hair down and it's like
I love that.
Yeah. It's been fun. I mean, I've only done it those 2 times, but you know, it was very funny. I think I was kind of drunk the nights that I did that too. I think those were nights that I was playing and I was drinking, so that could be part of it.
See, like, that's fun though, because then you're like choosing, you know, it's like, because that's the moment where you're like, yes, female empowerment. Like,
I'm gonna be sexy because
my sexuality.
Yeah.
Oh, but it would have been weird if like your DM was just like, yeah, this is what happens, and
you're just like what? I mean, considering the DM is my boyfriend, I don't think I'd mind.
I mean, okay, that's fair.
Yeah. So, yeah. I wouldn't mind if it were my DM, but if it were like one of his friends DMing, like in our other campaign, his friend is DMing, I'd be kind of awkward with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we make jokes all the time that like, oh, like, I don't even know. Like, they joke that like, he, like, my boyfriend and one of our other friends are like in a gay relationship and that they're just like hiding it from me all the time. But like it's a bromance. It's sweet. It's nice.
We love some good bromance.
Yeah, it's like a hardcore bromance.
You play a bard, right?
Yeah, I do.
Because I feel like a lot of people like the memes about bards are like they just seduce everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that's fun and that's fair, but, like, I feel like it's more interesting to, like, subvert that now, honestly.
Yeah. I like, started off not really knowing, like, all of the tropes of being a bard, because I was a brand new player. So I just went into it and I was like, ooh, music, yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And so, now that I've been immersed in it for a little bit longer, I've started to understand that kind of thing, and I've been trying to play into it a little bit, but not so much where it's like, you know, annoying. Yeah. Where it's just like try to seduce your way out of everything, because that's not fun. You have to fight sometimes.
Yeah. I guess if like that's fun for you, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's see. What else do we got on here? Okay. So do you think that like the variety of tabletop RPGs that are available now make it more appealing to more people?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, you were talking about the Star Wars game. So someone who may not be like into like high fantasy can totally like find like any sort of genre that they want to play. Like I know my friend that actually told me about D&D, she's running an Outbreak Undead, which is a zombie game, and that's super cool. So yeah, like it can definitely like help other people if they want to play D&D but they don't want to do like fantasy or anything like that, because I feel like fantasy sometimes is just like, I don't know, been there, done that. Like if you run like Lord of the Rings and you just like not into that, then I guess sci-fi or anything else is cool.
Because there are definitely a bunch of variations out there, like, you know, Star Wars and the Call of Cthulhu game. Have you heard of that one? That one's crazy. That one takes place in like the 20s, right?
Does it? I've heard of it, but I don't really know anything about it.
I think all of the images that I've seen of it, people are in like period type clothing, and I think it's like 20s type clothing. That sounds
fun.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, that looks like fun. And there's another one that's like, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like the Wild West one. It's like, I think it's called like Gunslingers or something like that.
that would make sense.
But it's like you're all like, you're an outlaw or you're a sheriff or like you do this stuff and like you're all out in the Wild West.
That's interesting.
I've seen that one, and there's like a bunch of other ones. There's like a haunted mansion one.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like there's a huge variety now. Oh my gosh, they made one. I think this is like totally like full circle, but they made like a tabletop RPG based off of Stranger Things.
That sounds really fun.
So I feel
like going upside down.
Kind of. It's called Kids on Bikes.
Okay.
And it's I don't know if it's all the same storyline or if it's just like an open world type thing, but the one like little campaign that I listened to on the One Shot podcast, they played Kids on Bikes and they went to like a haunted house and they were trying to figure out like why all the adults in this town were like really weird. Like they were just like wrong, except for the like one token teacher who was like the science teacher, of course.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. It was really interesting to listen to. I'd highly recommend like playing or listening to it if anybody would like. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah. Just anything else you wanted to talk about in the community, any funny stories or anecdotes that you have, and like any of your favorite characters or NPCs. I definitely have a favorite NPC.
Ooh, tell me.
So, not too long ago in our campaign, this NPC was introduced, and it was basically, I don't remember exactly how it happened, but we were like in a forest, and I don't know if you've seen the artwork that somebody drew of like a cat mixed with a bee. Have you seen that?
A cat mixed with it? I have not.
Yeah, so it's basically,
I'm trying to picture it.
Let me see if,
is it like the back half is a bee and like the front is a cat?
Not really.
Or like more of a mix.
That's like what it looks like. This one.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
Yeah. So it's got like,
okay,
it's like the shape of a cat, and it's like the size of a bee, and it has like the wings and the antenna, and it's like striped like a bee. So it's like,
it's very cute.
Yeah, it's really cute. That's legit the artwork for this character. And it's an NPC, and it was brought in as like part fighter, part cleric. But
interesting.
It has like some crazy, like he has some like crazy powerful powers, like some powerful attacks. Like
this bee cat is just really OP.
Yeah, he's just like buff as heck. His name was Kibby.
Aww.
And I loved him, and I wanted to adopt him, and he was the prince of the cat bee kingdom. And
there's a whole kingdom.
There's a whole kingdom
of there.
them. And they were being attacked by these, I don't remember what they were being attacked by, but they were being attacked by these creatures. And I guess these little cat bees have the ability to be either tiny bee size or giant like lion size.
Wow.
So yeah, so when they fight, they like blow up into this giant lion size. And he was the best cleric because he had like a healing wave that healed anybody like within like 10 feet for like a crazy amount of health.
Oh wow.
And as a bard, I can only heal one person at a time. So it was very nice. And I'm always healing people all the time. So
yeah, I don't think nice. we technically don't have a healer in our party. We just have the like sorcerer who I thought was a cleric for a really long time. But she is not. She's a sorcerer.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my favorite NPC, and I wanted to adopt him, and the DM said no. Because I had too many pets. He said I already had too many pets.
Yeah. My character is Pact of the Chain, which I guess is like stats wise isn't very good, but I was just like, I want a cat. So that's why I did that. That
is totally, I feel like that's a lot of the reasoning behind things. Like people are like, ooh, stats, but I get a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like kind of like always forget that I have a cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've come to find out that I'm not a good pet owner in game because I've like wanted to like scout ahead with my cat because I can like, you know, like see through the cat's eyes, sort of like a Bran Game of Thrones situation. And so like there's been like rivers and I'm like, oh, it's a shallow river, I'll just like have the cat float. No, the cat fucking just died. I've done it twice now.
I just went into the river and just like bloop.
I'm so dumb. I've just like thrown my cat into a river and then off it goes. And then it poofs back into nothing and I'm just like, well. So yeah, I've gotten a lot of grief for doing that.
Yeah. I used to have this like, I used to have a spell that let me, like, I used to have a little owl that was like a part of this spell, and like she would go around and do stuff for me, but then I moved the spell because I wasn't using it that often. But because I got healing word instead of cure wounds, so it didn't become that useful anymore. So, and she can't attack or anything, which sucks.
Yeah, like I think just now I've gotten like a bonus action where my cat can attack, but before it was kind of just like it would have been an action, so it was kind of just there. And our party has like our party has like a lot of because we have another, I guess it's a familiar. It's like the little sprites. Yeah, she's a sprite.
That's cool.
And then I have a cat.
Yeah.
And we're always trying to adopt new animals.
Dude,
too,
I am too, all the time. I see an animal and I'm like, I want it. And Zach's like, no.
Yeah. Just how it is.
Yeah. And yeah, so I had that little owl for a little while, and then oh my gosh, so then we were in the sewers of somewhere. We were in some sewers, and this tiny little crab popped out of the sewer. and I was like, I need it. It's so cute. It's like, he's like this big. And Zach was like, oh, well, he's a poo crab and he wants to live in poo all the time. So if you keep him, you'll have to have poo with you all the time. And I said, haha, loophole.
It's a good thing you're always shitting.
No.
I mean.
No. I rolled to see if I could make a loophole that chocolate pudding works. And I rolled like maybe an 18 or a 19. So I was like, yes. So he lives with me.
That's a much better solution.
Yeah, so he lives with me in a little cup of chocolate pudding.
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot. But like recently, we were fighting this guy who we called him the cancer mage because he was like healing you, and like he would heal you like so much that I guess eventually you would get cancer.
What?
I don't know how it works. I'm not a science person, but like 3 people in my party are, and they were like, yeah, that's right.
That makes no sense to me, but okay.
I don't know. I guess you like get a tumor and then boom, you have cancer.
Okay.
So anyway, we basically like were beating this guy up, and he pulled one of, I think it's like the deck of many.
Yeah.
And it was like the gambling card. So he pulled us into like this gambling dimension, and one of like they were like DDs, was the Raven Queen. So one of our party members basically gambled his soul and life for her bird, her raven.
Oh my gosh.
Which is technically her. And she was like, I'm not gonna give you the bird. And he was like, but I want the bird. So it was basically like 20 minutes of just that, like going back and forth. Like, I'm not gonna give you the bird. I want the bird though. And eventually she's like, fine, I'll give you the bird, and then like if I win, you have to give me like your soul and all of this. And we're like, oh my god, you're literally gonna have to roll a new character, because he's like, let's play rock paper scissors. So they rolled for like rock paper scissors, and our party member won. So now he just has a raven that's like kind of an asshole, because it's basically the Raven Queen. And he's now dubbed it Bastard.
Oh gosh!
Because it won't like tell him his name. I don't know. That party member's very chaotic.
It sounds like it,
as you can tell from that story.
Yeah. What's your character's alignment?
She's chaotic good. So it's been interesting, because obviously her patron, the fiend, is a devil. And is not good, so...
Interesting.
Yeah, So it's been interesting because also her cat is lawful evil.
What?
Yeah, because he's a devil.
So he's evil, but he follows the rules.
Yeah, but like, I mean, he technically, you know, he has to like follow what my character says, so.
Fair. My character is chaotic neutral, so she just does whatever is best for her. She's like, I do everything for me, because
yeah, I think
I used to be selfless, and then it bit me in the butt, so.
Yeah, I feel like we have a few characters like that. I think we're like all mostly chaotic.
I think that's how we are. I think one of ours
like
is
2 of us are good, and then like the rest are neutral.
Yeah, I think we have like 1 lawful neutral, but I don't even know. I think our Warforged might be lawful something, but I don't even know. But
I feel like that makes sense because Warforged are like, I don't know, programs.
Like, yeah, they're machines. They can only do so much, right?
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Have you seen that joke where it's like
recently we've gotten more into like, yeah, I feel like our party like more like sort of like the past few months have gotten better like role playing because again we didn't really know each other, so it was kind of just like pretty basic, and we were like sort of learning how to like fight and stuff, so it was like dungeon crawls, and like now we're getting into the plot, and it's stressing me, but it's fun.
Yeah. We started off with a dungeon crawl, and then we were just like straight into the plot. Like one of the first like big bads that we fought was like the mortal enemy of one of our characters.
Oh wow.
Like the guy who, okay, so our rock gnome, his entire village was turned to stone. And I guess he has like his wife is like an imp. Okay. He's like, I have this like banging imp wife. And we're like, okay. He's always talking about how pretty she is, and like I really want it to be like she's gorgeous to him, but the rest of us are just like,
I mean,
what?
I don't know that imps are always that.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I kind of love that.
We're gonna see what happens. But he's like, yeah, I have a banging imp wife. Like she's beautiful. And we're all like, okay, we've never seen a picture of her, but he like keeps a picture of her like in his like pocket, but like we're not allowed to see it.
That's so cute.
Yeah. But like his whole village was turned to stone, and the big bad that we fought was like the one who turned his village to stone, and it was like the first one we fought.
Oh wow.
And then he like we didn't beat him or anything, we just made him weak enough that he was just like, peace out, and he like poofed away.
Okay, so he'll probably come back.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess
that's interesting.
Right now we're trying to find all the pieces to this mechanism that are gonna do something for somebody's story. Like our orc, has a son, and like a long lost son.
Oh.
Like,
that's interesting.
Yeah, like
I always think like playing parents is very interesting in D&D, because then you've got that like maybe like even without trying to like do it, you've got the like work home life balance dilemma.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he has this long lost son, and we were in this like challenge, like tournament of champions type thing, and like his challenge,
that's fun.
Yeah, and his challenge was like a physical fight because he's a barbarian, so he's just like smash things, right? He's basically Hulk but dumber. And he didn't realize it until the end, but the champion that he had to fight was the king's champion, was his son.
Oh.
Yeah. And like in the story, my character's ex-mentor / lover was the man who rescued the son from this guy who was like a slave trader, and he was on the slave trade. But I didn't hear that part of the story, so I still think that my ex-mentor / lover is dead.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know that because I didn't hear them have that conversation. Like, me as a person, I know that he is alive, but me as a character does not know.
That's fun.
That's always that I always have such trouble with things that like me as a person I know but my character isn't supposed to know, you know? Like there's a lot of times where I have issues with that.
Yeah, I feel like I always have to ask, like, a bunch of questions. Like, do I know this?
Yeah.
What do I know?
Yeah. Like,
before I do anything.
yeah, do I know this? How much of this do I know? What's, like, the importance of this? Because you never know. You could just be like, yes, this thing. And then the DM's like, no, you know nothing. And you're just like, oh, okay. Like, let me start over again.
Yeah.
That's always weird.
That's interesting that, like, one of your characters had, like, a village turned to stone. Because I was just watching the Barbie Pegasus movie, and that happens. He, like, turns the whole village to stone. Anyway.
That's, like, such a random, like, thing.
I know. I didn't remember that movie, but I was like, it's time for some nostalgia, so.
I've watched Princess and the Pauper, like, 3 times in the past few months.
I love that movie. It's so good.
It's really good. You know what we should do? We should do a Princess and the Pauper, or, like, Barbie style, like, tabletop RPG.
That would be hilarious.
So, like, everybody just plays, like, a really innocent, really stupid, naive character.
Yeah, you just play a version of Barbie.
Yes.
Like,
everybody.
One's the fairy.
Everybody looks the same. They're all Barbie, but it's just different versions of her.
Good. Oh my god.
So one's Barbie Swan Lake, one's Barbie Fairytopia, one's Rapunzel, one's Princess and the Pauper. What's the mermaid one? That one?
She just, like, that's, like, yeah, I guess it's Barbie, like, turns into a mermaid.
Yeah.
But she's also a fairy.
Yeah. I kind of remember that.
Yeah. That one's also good.
That one is good. I just remember the part where the friend gets, like, tangled up in a seaweed monster.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're, like, trying to, like, swim.
Yeah.
I don't know. To, like, some thing that they
Something, I don't know. So, anyway, I think that'd be fun.
That would be fun. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. Have you seen that meme where it's, like, how most D&D campaigns start, and it's, like, a picture of, like, Monty Python, or it starts with, like, Lord of the Rings, and it's, like, how they end, and everybody's Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
It's so true.
Yeah, because you start off all, like, serious and Tolkien, and then you get into it, and you're just like, dee-dee-dee-dee, I'm gonna clap these coconuts together.
Yeah, pretty much, because it's, like, you don't realize how much, like, planning just doesn't work. Like,
it doesn't.
We had an encounter, and, like, our DM was like, you guys are just gonna go into this? No plan? And we're like, when does planning ever work?
Yep.
He was like, fair enough, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, one time we had, in our second campaign, Zach derailed the entire session, because the whole thing was we were supposed to fight these, like, ghost shadow things, and he rolled. What did he roll? His character, I think, is a bard in this one. Or no, he's a rogue. He plays a rogue, but he's like a cat. He's like a cat person.
Oh, a tabaxi?
Yeah. He's one of those. And he's just chaotic all the time. I think he's chaotic evil. Or chaotic neutral or something. He just does whatever he wants all the time. Yeah. And he's basically the embodiment of an F-boy. Like, that's just what he is. And so yeah, that's what he did. He is like, can I do this thing? I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was like, can I do this so good that they're all impressed and they run away and that's it? And the DM was like, no, that's the whole encounter. Like, this is no. And he was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And the DM was like, no. And he was like, I'm gonna do it. And he was like, okay, whatever, fine. And he rolled, like, a nat 20.
Of course.
So the whole thing was...
It's always the dumbest rolls.
Right? And so the whole thing was ruined, and we had to wait for, like, 15 minutes while the DM came up with something to figure out what we were supposed to do, because he ruined the whole session, and we were only, like, an hour in. And, like, it was just nuts. And in that campaign, that's the one where I play the changeling. And when the guy who plays the gnome, I guess, I don't know why, our character has always become friends, like besties, because, like, his gnome character and my character
I love that.
are, like, both obsessed with the library, so we go to the library all the time.
Yeah.
Books got banned from our
Does that.
campaign. We're not allowed to go buy books anymore because we take too long in the library. Like, anytime
Oh.
anytime we go to a new town or city, I'm like, is there a library? And he's like, yes, but it's
Yeah, that's me.
but it's in this language you don't understand. And I'm like, is there a book to learn the basics of Draconic? And he's like, yeah, but it's all in Draconic. And I'm like, that's the point. And he's like, no. I'm like, can I learn it? And he's like, no. I'm like, but I'm a scholar.
Yeah, I like didn't set out to make my character like a bookish person, but then I was like, I gotta do research, like I gotta know what's and so yeah, now she's a bookish nerd.
Mine definitely started out that way.
Just like has to go to the library to research.
Yeah,
because she just like, I don't know what's happening, so she doesn't know what's going on, so I'm like, library info, that might help.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And then he banned libraries, and I was like,
You froze.
I'm very upset. So anyway,
Sorry, you froze again. Can you repeat that?
So, oh no, nothing. I was just saying that like he banned libraries, and I got upset.
Oh.
And then in our second campaign, so my character is a changeling, and I don't know exactly what his character is, but all the time he says I always present as kind of a tiefling, but not necessarily, because he's not a dragon. He's just like a little lizard boy.
Oh, a dragonborn?
No, not even a dragonborn. It's like,
Oh.
I don't know. Because he's not a dragon. He's just like a little lizard. I don't know. It's
just like a lizard?
Yeah,
person?
I think he's
I don't know what they're called.
I think he's a changeling of some sorts too.
Mm.
Because like there was this one point where like I shapeshifted in front of him, and then he shapeshifted in front of me, and then like we both changed back to our like what we usually present as, and it was like this moment where we were like, oh crap, and then he like he plays a 5-year-old, by the way.
Oh, very
yeah, he plays a
interesting.
5-year-old, and so the 5-year-old like ran over and like wouldn't let go of my leg, so he's like bonded to me now, I guess. And I don't know what to do, so I'm basically like the mom of both of our groups.
How does a 5-year-old like survive in a D&D campaign? That's so interesting.
He's really powerful, surprisingly. He has like lots of spells, and like, you know, the other guys in our campaign are always like, oh, we should send the 5-year-old to go do this very dangerous task. And I'm like, no, we shouldn't.
Like, no.
I'm like, no, we shouldn't. We should send the annoying, you know, F-boy cat who tries to F everything it sees. Anyway, okay. Are there any other, like, things you want to talk about?
No. We have to play together, Gaby.
We do.
It's gotta happen.
Together. We should play together, and then we'll make it an episode. Like, we'll do it, like, we'll record it like an episode.
Oh, that would be a lot of pressure, because I still don't know what I'm doing.
It's okay. I don't know what I'm doing either.
That would be fun.
It would just be for fun. It'd be like a little bonus episode type thing.
Yeah, that would be
That'd
fun.
Really fun. And we could, yeah. And I'll get Zach to play with us. Except for I'm gonna tell him to behave. I'm gonna say no more F-boy characters. I'm like, I really want there to be a character where it's like, okay, I don't know if you've seen the other meme where it's like the DM who like has a NPC that's like a projection of themselves, and it's like their wife or girlfriend's character, and they start falling in love. Yeah, I saw that one time, and I was like, that's really cute. I was like, that's goals.
Oh, have you seen there's a YouTuber I follow who doesn't really do YouTube as much anymore, but their name is Az, and it's the Azrai on YouTube, and they made like a really long YouTube video about like playing D&D with ADHD, and it was very interesting. I thought it was a good video for like people who don't have ADHD to like watch and like learn.
Yeah, I definitely, like, when we're playing, and especially if we're in combat and I'm not doing anything for a while, I have to keep myself busy. Otherwise, I totally detach from what's going on. Like, it's definitely happened a number of times where I'm like, okay, what's going on? Who's almost dead? Wait, who died? What's going on? Who needs healing? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that too sometimes, even though I don't have ADHD, but sometimes it can be easy to just like
zone out. Yeah.
Float away.
Yeah, especially when you're fighting against like a lot of enemies. And like the you know, it takes a while to get through the lineup, I guess, of all of the turns, turn order.
Are you guys virtual or like in person?
No, we're all virtual.
Yeah, okay. Do you guys use like Roll20 or anything?
Yeah, we use Roll20 and DnD and Beyond.
Yeah, we use Roll20 as well. I don't think only one person uses D&D Beyond, but we use like another thing to like do our characters.
Yeah, we built them all on D&D and Beyond
called.
because Jason, he has a premium subscription, and so he's like, just add to this campaign, and it's basically just a random campaign he built so that way we could borrow his stuff. So
that's cool.
So we use
it's helpful to have like maps in front of you.
Yeah, it's very helpful to have like maps and like environments, like get kind of a vibe. Otherwise, if you're just kind of flying in dark, nobody really knows exactly what it looks like, you know? So everybody's picturing something a little different, and then that creates issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we've definitely had a few times where like, even though we have the picture in front of us, we're all like, yes, this thing, and we're talking about 3 different things.
Yeah.
That definitely still happens. Well, girly, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your insights on some of these issues and discussing some of the more fun aspects of D&D.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was real fun.
Yeah, I had a great time, and we'll definitely have to have you back on a future episode.
Yes, I would love that.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, I think that was a super fun and awesome episode. I, for one, had a great time chatting with Campbell, and I haven't seen her or talked to her in forever, so it was really nice to get to catch up and talk. We here at Femme Fatales love to hear your feedback, so please let me know what you thought of these episodes on our Instagram or a review in Apple or Google Podcasts. Next week, you're going to have just Emma hosting, and you'll hear from some friends of ours about Star Wars and Bad Batch and Jedi Fallen Order. They keep joking to me that it's just going to be a Cal Kestis simp session, but we'll see what happens. I will already have been on vacation when this episode comes out, so go check my Instagram at GabyGent, GabyJent, or our podcast Instagram at FemmeFatalesPod for some fun vacay photos at Disneyland. You can also follow my Disney adventures on my TikTok at GabyGent, spelled the same way as my Instagram. Thank you so much again to our guests Campbell Moore today and Jason Emanuel, who I spoke with on Wednesday. Make sure to tune in to next week's episode of Femme Fatales with Emma and our friends talking about all things Star Wars. And make sure to subscribe to Femme Fatales on Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts, and follow us at FemmeFatalesPod on Instagram. Femme Fatales spelt the same way you see here. Our music is by the wonderful and beautiful Maddie Macon, and our editing is by the gorgeous and fantastic Kara Linsmeyer. As always, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye!